Warning, this episode contains explicit language and drug use. All names mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. Listener discretion is advised. Before we dig into today's episode, I want to take a moment and talk about something close to my home, my journey into podcasting. Dog with a Bone is my first season, and I am beyond grateful to have teamed up with James Basinger and Sasquatch Productions. If you're into deep dives, real boots on the ground investigations, and the kind of storytelling that leaves no stone unturned, you'll want to check out James's own podcast, Hide and Seek. He's currently working on season 4, but if you haven't yet, I highly recommend starting with season 1 through 3. They're all out now. And welcome back to Dog with a Bone podcast. This is episode 3, The Inside Man. Please make sure to like and follow us on Dog with a Bone Facebook page to join in on the investigation as we move through the season. I would love to hear your thoughts. You can also subscribe to Dog with a Bone podcast so you do not miss an episode. As you heard in episode 2 from Joe and Ray, John and Alan allegedly tried to steal Bernie's safe and were not successful due to the wheelbarrow getting stuck in the mud. Mike shared how Bernie knew John was breaking into his house because John would brag about it. Bernie would also leave coke out for John to find easily so he didn't destroy his house. We heard from Ray, who shared why the verdict came back not guilty. If you have not listened to episode 2, you might want to go back and listen so you don't miss a thing. As I continued to dig into the burglary, I had questions about how Alan and John knew Bernie would not be home at the time of the theft. Why was the alarm not activated? And how did they know the cocaine would be in the safe? The answer to these questions seemed to be a simple one. There's talk of an inside man. Remember Jo from the last episode? She was dating Alan and was with him the night of the burglary. As we continued our conversation, she shared shocking information with me that nobody had heard before. Here's Jo again.
John and Eric had a thing going where they were going to, Eric was supposed to leave a door unlocked and then lure Burnside away from the house. And John and Alan were supposed to go in and get stuff, and then they were all going to split it.
And how much cocaine would Bernie have in a safe, do you think?
That I can't answer that. I don't know.
Were they thinking it was going to be a lot for them to risk it?
Eric was the inside man, and Eric was the one feeding them the information. So I can't tell you. I know he had money in the safe because he didn't believe in the banks, and I know he had drugs in the safe. I'm asking how much. I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
But they thought it was enough to where they should steal it.
Bernie did actually have a bank account and had his money from Honda in there. Well, but then my question would be, if he didn't know that was going to go on, wouldn't Bernie set his alarm?
Oh, you would think.
Yeah.
Unless Eric talked him into not doing it, rushing him out the door. I mean, I don't know.
Just to clarify, the alarm box was located outside the home and contained 2 wires. According to ADT, the one line was connected to the phone and considered live. Depending on how Bernie set it up, the alarm went off either to the police, ADT, or to a call list Bernie provided. Someone had to be familiar with the alarm system to know which wire to cut and where the main box was kept, under the couch. The couch was turned upside down and the box was pulled out from the vent under the floor. Wouldn't cutting the live wire trigger a response? I guess if the main box was deactivated, it may not trigger a call? How did they find out it was John and Alan?
They could have been watching Burnside for a while because Eric was a known snitch.
Was he?
Yeah.
A snitch for the cops?
Yeah.
He was playing both sides?
Yeah.
That's interesting. What do you know about that?
I just know he had done a few buys when he'd get in trouble. He would do buys to keep himself out of trouble. And that come from many people. I didn't witness it firsthand, but I do believe it because I mean the people that told me this stuff were credible people.
I have to wonder if this was not one of Eric's deals he made with the police to get himself out of trouble. His deal was to set up John and Alan. Jo continues to share more about what she remembers.
I'm telling you, Eric is dirty. Eric is a snitch. Eric has worked for the police many times. He's not to be trusted. And John and Alan knew that because I told them that. And they told me I was stupid. I didn't know what I was talking about. They've known Eric for years. I said, well, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like him even being in the house. I didn't. He just one of the people that when he was around, you got that weird vibe. When they're trying to complicit John and Alan into things, as I'm throwing them Eric's name, they just kind of like push it off to the backside, like, and wanted to put the focus on John and Alan and try to put me at the scene of the crime.
Jo is talking about Sergeant Glenn Nickel here, who was the investigator on Bernie's case.
But yeah, it is kind of weird how they automatically, when I questioned me and put me at the scene of a crime, and John and Alan, how did anybody know John and Alan were there?
Yeah.
And that's a very good point because I never thought about that.
Yeah. Who brought their names?
It's not like they're going to call and say, hey, we were there, we did this, but we didn't do that.
Right. That might have come from Eric. Okay. Well, this is good info. This is very helpful.
I mean, the cops knew that Alan and John were into the cocaine, though. I mean, that's because when they questioned me, when I was questioned when he hit me, blacked my eyes. I was young. I told the cops that, we were doing cocaine. I didn't lie. And there was no reason to lie. Because if they gave me a drug test, it's going to come back dirty, Right. Yeah, we were doing cocaine. He was shooting up. So, I mean, they knew that they were involved in drugs. And they're both, Alan been in and out of prison. John, I don't think he ever went to prison. I don't think he has a prison. If he has, it's only been like once.
Right. But to just pull two names out of a hat when you have a town full of people doing drugs is not how that goes down. So someone introduced their names into the mix.
Because like I said, when the cops were there, we were at the hideaway. We didn't even drive close to the house, just by this East School, which was probably 2 blocks from this where the cop cars were, 2.5 blocks. And they seen the lights, and I just kept driving north.
What did they say? What was the conversation in the car at all? Do you remember? Like,
they
shit?
Said, well, the cops are still there. The cops are there. The cops are still there. That's all they kept saying.
Why would you say still?
I don't know if maybe the cops had come as they were on their way back to the bar, maybe, or if they were sitting somewhere and doing something they shouldn't have been doing and seen the cop cars come in or what. I don't know how long it was that they left the house and come back to the bar. That time lapse. But I do know when we left the bar, the cops were there.
I'm curious about that.
I mean, I saw the cop cars there. Like I said, I don't know how long they were there, out before I seen it on their way back to the bar. But when I left, there was cop cars.
So was there one cop car or 2?
There was multiple set of lights. I'd say 2 or 3.
According to Jo, she, Alan, and John never returned to Bernie's house once the cops arrived. I also reached out to Olivia, who was dating John at the time and was with him that night after the bar closed. Olivia and I will be meeting to discuss what she remembers when I return in July. Ray, Alan's brother, also recalls the 3 never returned to the house. Each person went their separate ways home when the bar closed. Once they saw the cops, the safe was a lost cause. They aborted the plan. I turn my focus back to Eric and investigate the possibility of him being the inside man. I have had zero luck in getting Eric on the phone or any other platform. The guy has been a serious challenge to locate. I was finally able to reach his sister, Jackie. Jackie was also friends with Bernie and was with him the night of the murder. Jackie says her and Eric were the ones who found Bernie the next day. Everyone, meet Jackie.
We just left Mom's house insurance place. I had to cancel the house insurance because we're getting ready to the house Monday. It's just been a nightmare. I went to Virginia for a couple of days just to get a break at my sister-in-law's house, and I don't know. I got some kind of ear infection behind my ear, which is giving me vertigo.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm just nauseous and puking all the time, and I'm dizzy. My whole shoulder's black.
Oh my
I
God.
ain't got no skin on my knee. I can't get up. Every time I do, I fall. So.
Oh my goodness. You just have a lot going on. I'm so sorry to hear about your mom.
Yeah. I love her. Yeah. She was a fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always hard to lose a mom. I lost mine. I get it. You only get one mom.
Yep.
So, is now a good time to talk? Are you on the road?
Actually, we came in here to do all this, but I'm sitting in the car waiting for my husband to come out because I can't even walk. I'm so dizzy with vertigo. So, but yeah, what do you want to know, honey?
Well, I just want to obviously get as much information as I can from you on that night and the things following.
I have so much information to give you, and everything that I thought that happened that night. I was bartending behind the bar. I had my boyfriend at the time's truck. They wanted, being honest, they wanted to know if they could use my truck to go back to the house and do a line. Everybody knew what Bernie did. We all did at that time. And they got over there and they walked in and his couch was flipped, but he had his ADT security system in a vent that was under his couch. So somebody had to have known that. I'm still trying to work, and my husband works, not my husband, my boyfriend at the time, worked second shift at Honda, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, they got to get his truck back here before. He gets off work and gets in here, he's going to be freaking mad because I let him use the truck, you know what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Because Bernie never drank and drove. He didn't. I had like a half hour before Nick got off work, and there's other things I can tell you about Nick. Like later on, they tried to have Nick set Eric up with a drug deal. There's so many things I could tell you. But anyway, so there was a girl that used to help us check IDs at the bar that time. Her name is Botima. I don't know if her names came up.
Yes, I've spoken to her already.
Okay, and I was like, look, go over there and find out what the hell, please. Like, I'll buy your drinks for the rest of the night. If Nick comes back here and he finds out that I let Eric and Bern use his truck, he's going to kill me. Not literally, but, you know. I'm like, go find out what was going on. Another hour went by. Nick came in. His truck still wasn't back. He's pissed. And then Eric and Botima walked in, and I guess when the cops came, Bernie called the cops, and he told them he'd been robbed.
How did Bernie call the cops? I thought his phone line was cut.
I don't know. A cell phone or something. I don't know. Bernie called the cops and said he had been robbed.
In Bernie's dad's notes, he mentions that Bernie had a cell phone, which not many people had in 1993. I was shocked and still shocked to learn Bernie had a phone. According to Google, cell phones were very, very rare and very, very expensive. The cost in 1993 was $2,500. This would be about $5,000 in today's cost. Jackie continues to share what happened back at Bernie's house from what Eric had told her when he returned to Steffens.
And when the cops got there, they said well, we searched whatever. He said, well, we found your safe in your backyard, but it's open and empty. And then in a couple more sentences, they asked for the combination to the safe. And my brother Eric said, Bernie, shut up. Don't say another word. Don't tell him nothing. If your safe's out there open and empty, then there's no reason for you to give him the combination to the safe. And they said, well, maybe what if it gets closed into the investigation and we get fingerprints off of it? Eric's like, Bernie, don't say another word. Well, they actually, I don't know if Botima told you or not. This is what she told me when she come back to the bar with Eric. They slammed Eric up against the TV, which as soon as you walked into the door, it was on the left-hand side, and the TV stand. He had bruises from his hips all the way down to his knee and said, Mr. if you don't shut up, we're taking you in right now for obstructing or whatever. So he said, am I under arrest? Can I leave? And they said, no, you're not. And they let Botima bring him back up to the bar with me.
What's a good number for Eric that I can talk to him too? At this point, Jackie begins to cut in and out due to her reception. So we tried to clean it up as much as possible.
I have no idea. He was mooching my mom, for money. I don't know where he's even staying at now. We actually kicked him out of the house.
So
when Mom passed.
Well, so you weren't
I don't even know how to get a hold of Eric right now. I don't.
So he wasn't part of the funeral or your mom?
We never had a funeral for my mom. Her ashes are sitting on my mantle right now.
Okay, so Eric, does he know that she has passed?
Yep, the house is up for sale. We're waiting on everything the house to sell. And Eric had to go to court for this shit, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was bullshit.
So,
he loved that man with every fucking thing he had in him. There's no way he would ever hurt fucking Bernie. And he ended up back at my house that night and spent the night with me. We went back over in the morning and we're the ones that found it.
Right.
He never left my house.
Jackie is the first one who brings up that Eric is not the one who murdered Bernie. The weird thing was, I was not even asking about the murder. I was wanting information about the theft of the safe before even discussing the murder. I try to turn the conversation back to the burglary. So, Jackie, let me ask you. I have inside people telling me that Eric was the one who set up the heist with John and Alan to steal the safe from Bernie.
Never. Never in a million years. Never. Nope. Nope. Why would he? He hung out with him every day and did coke with him. He had his own.
Yeah.
I mean, you know Eric's record. His sister's from California. His sister from California come and fucking stayed with us. Like, no. Nuh-uh.
This is not true according to Pam, who is Bernie's other sister. Pam currently lives in California. I spoke to Pam and she says she never stayed with him. She didn't even know where they lived. So he wasn't the middleman who was told to take Bernie to Steffens and left the sliding door open.
No way. No way.
That's why I definitely want to talk.
Just like Renee that you talked to, that was Eric's side pieces for coke. Just like Botima, that was another one of Eric's side pieces for coke. I hope you don't take none of them with for granted.
Part of my job is to take what everyone's saying and put things together and confirm and help support and get us to where we need to be.
My brother would never have hurt Bernie.
No, he didn't hurt him, but people are saying he was part of stealing the safe. He was the inside man for that.
Alan was my greatest. My brother hates Alan with a passion. He never hung out with them. Never hung out with them. Him and John hung out like in high school. They ain't hung out. They ain't even spoke in 30 years.
John, I actually talked to him, and he said that him and Eric are good friends.
No, they're not. I promise you. The only way he could say they're friends is because his mother, Darlene, and his stepdad and my mom and dad were friends. John hasn't talked to my brother in years.
Well, how do you know that, though, if you haven't talked to your brother?
I've talked to my brother for treatments taking care of my mom. Once we kicked him out of the fucking house, I don't know where he went.
Okay. So
but
you don't know where he's living?
No, I do not. And he totally fucking quit hanging out with all that fucking trash when he got in fucking trouble. What was kind of funny was the day that Eric had his court hearing, John showed up at the fucking court hearing with his mom, and Eric pushed him away, and he was like, I ain't seen you in years. Why are you butting into my business now? I remember that day so well because John had an abscessed tooth and his face smelled like pig shit. And he was in my mom's face, my brother's face, and my face that day. And Eric's like, dude, I ain't seen you in years. My brother didn't have nothing to do with it. It was John and Alan, and you need to talk to Rob. My brother's been at my mom's house taking care of her through her cancer until she just bought this new house in Richwood that we're just getting ready to sell. He ain't had a driver's license. He didn't hang out with them. And I'm not liking where this is going. I'm really not liking where this was going. You asked me to be honest, and I'm trying to be honest, and I'm telling you, you are wrong.
I'm not saying
you are wrong.
Jackie, I'm not saying that that's what happened.
I can't stand my brother right now for the way he did my mom when she was getting ready to die, but my brother did not have anything to do with John Burnside's death.
I didn't say he did.
But my brother didn't have anything to do with it. Goodbye.
Jackie actually thought she hung up on me, but it was a FaceTime call. So I could actually still see her ear as she scrambled to hang up the phone. So I continued the conversation. Jackie? I did not say your brother had anything to do with his murder.
Yes, you did.
I did not. I never said that. I never said that. Right? I'm asking.
Well, you kind of.
No. I'm saying, I'm trying to figure out.
You do not know what we went through when that happened. And my mother just passed away, and I can't believe you're calling me with this bullshit fucking right now.
Well, I know how.
This is the same reason why I didn't want to meet in a goddamn library with a bunch of fucking people that didn't have a clue. Everybody's seen that Marysville in the know fucking thing, and everybody jumped on it. But nobody knows nothing because they weren't fucking there.
Jackie?
They weren't there every weekend. They didn't talk to Bernie on a daily basis. Yeah, Darren. Oh, I talked to his dad several times. I knew this. I knew that. Darren don't know shit. Renee don't know shit. Botima don't know shit.
Well, if you know
evidently she were it right.
And this is why I've been wanting to talk to. This is where our phone call ended. Jackie finally figured out how to hang up on me. This is when things got even more interesting. Jackie quickly called Bo and texted another person I had already spoken to and began to tell lies about our conversation. If you remember, Bo was the one who went to check on Bernie and Eric, who had not returned with the truck. Bo went inside the home where the cops, Bernie, and Eric were all present. Eric was allowed to leave, so Bo brought him back to Stefan's. Of course, Bo messages me right away and wants to back out of talking. I quickly got Bo on the phone to try to figure out what the heck was happening.
She said, you said John and Alan killed Bernie, but Eric set it up, and you said you drove my truck over there that night, not your car, but you did drive your car because my truck was sitting in Bernie's driveway all night. And I told you I drove my car. I never said I drove her truck.
That's exactly what I told her, and she said that you're lying. She said to me, Bo doesn't know what she's talking about. She didn't. Maybe she drove her car to go check on Bernie and Eric, but she didn't drive them. They drove my truck. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just trying to figure out who drove where and what not. And she said, no, they never drove. Bernie and Eric left the bar to go do coke in my boyfriend's truck. They weren't back, so I asked Bo to go over and check on them. So then Bo went over and she drove her car, and then she brought Eric back. That's what she said. And I said, well, I just have a question then, because Bo's remembering that she drove her car with Bernie and Eric over to the house. And that's when she said, no, she's full of it. That never happened.
And that's when I'm sitting here talking to her. She's absolutely right. I mean, they had left to go over, and they did drive that, and then she asked me to go check on them. Okay. I totally forgot about all of that until she brought that up.
Okay, perfect. So that's clarifying it. Perfect. That's great. And that's why I was going to call you and ask you, hey, this is what she's saying. Does that sound familiar to you? And then you would have said yes, right? Like, now I remember. So that literally is all it is. And she just went, I was like, Jackie, I don't know why you are jumping to conclusions and saying that, because I never said that. I asked you about stealing the safe. She was going off, and I was like, that's all I'm asking you.
Well, I know she just went off on me and said that you said that I said this and I said that and I said this, and I'm like, I never said anything about anything. I never said that I thought John and Alan killed him. I told you from the get-go, I thought it was that did it.
And I never said that you said that. Because I couldn't even get there. I was saying about the safe. She wasn't hearing me at that point.
I'm just telling you what she said to me, and I'm just like, I don't want in the he said, she said stuff. Like I said, I even told you, I don't remember how the cops got called. There was a lot of things I don't remember about what happened, but now that I've talked to her a little bit, I'm like, oh, she asked me to go over there and get them. And that's why I went over there. I didn't go over with them from in the beginning.
Okay. And that's all, and that's what I'm, and I will message her again, because that is what I'm trying to do, is just put it together. And there's no reason to react the way she reacted. And we're not in, we're in this to solve a murder. Bo and I got back on the phone later that evening to discuss more of my conversation with Jackie. Bo shares what Jackie told her.
I know she was like, you just don't need to be talking to her or whatever. And I said, well, first off, I'll talk to her if I want to. But if what I'm saying is being construed in a different light, then I'll withdraw myself from it.
Bo had informed Jackie that I was recording the calls, to which then I received the following Facebook messages from Jackie. Before I could follow up with her, she blocked me. Here is Vicky reading Jackie's messages.
To go over there and found that the place was broken into. I have no reason to talk to you again. Don't twist my words. Don't twist what you said to me. My brother didn't have anything to do with none of that. I know that for a fact. He was with me all night until they used my car to go over there and found that the place was broken into. You're barking up the wrong tree there. That's just ignorant people in Marysville talking when they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because they never was there. They don't know what kind of person Bernie was. And then at the beginning of your investigation, that's what you said. You just wanted to find out what kind of person Bernie was. And you don't sound like a cold case investigator, somebody trying to clear a cold case. You sound like a fucking cop, and just don't text me again.
Based on these conversations, I am left wondering if it was not only Eric involved in the setup, but also Jackie. For 30 years, Jackie claims that they were Bernie's best friends. They were the ones to find him the next day, and how she knows more than anyone else on what happened to Bernie. However, a simple question about the break-in stirred such a strong reaction. I have to take this into consideration. Jackie told me Eric stole from their dying mother. I think it was a fair question to ask if Eric was the inside man. I mean, he stole from his dying mother. What's a best friend? I continue to try and reach Eric in hopes he can shed light on the burglary and the next day. As I continue to deal with the aftermath of Jackie, I heard back from Jeff Stiers from Union County. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation and Union County were all together in one room. Jeff informed me the decision was for BCI to be my main contact. The Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation had the case back in 1994, so they felt it would be better for BCI to review Bernie's case. A few days later, Agent Mason from the BCI and myself got on the phone. I immediately knew if someone would be the one to help bring justice to Bernie, his family, and the community, she would be the one. Agent Mason is very open to working with me, which is very unusual. But I've been very lucky to have two agencies now work side by side with me. She voiced her appreciation for all the work I had already done on the case. I sent her everything we had put together and interviews for her to review. We continue to touch base weekly as we prepare for my trip to Marysville. I am sure you are wondering what exactly are the events of that night? What happened and when, given the multiple people and the possibility of two different crimes happening that night? Here's a breakdown of what we know so far. Bernie and Eric leave Steffens to do a line of coke back at Bernie's. Bernie realizes his house had been broken into. Bernie used his cell phone to call the police. The police arrive and begin to investigate not the burglary, but the drugs in the safe. The police also claim drugs were found in plain sight in Bernie's bedroom. Bo drives to Bernie's to see what the heck is taking them so long, since they had Nick's truck and Nick would be done with work. Eric is telling Bernie not to provide a safe combination since the police told them the safe was open. But then the police said it was closed. According to Jackie, police tell Eric to leave or he will be arrested for interfering with the investigation. Eric leaves with Bo and returns to Steffens. According to Bo, Eric, and Jackie return less than 20 minutes later, and Bernie is not answering the door and the lights are out. Eric and Jackie then find Bernie dead the next day. So the question is, why did the cops not arrest Bernie given the amount of coke found in the house was over legal code? What evidence did they have to determine Bernie committed suicide? And exactly how long was it between when Eric and Bo left and when they returned with Jackie? Next time on Dog with a Bone.
Very quickly, within 10, 15 minutes. Like I said, I don't remember exactly how many minutes we were gone, but I can tell you we left, we called her, she walked outside the bar. We did not even go in to get her. And by the time we got back there, cops were gone, lights were off, place was dark.
What we found was 24 grams of cocaine, which is the way it was packaged. It was packaged in half-gram containers and 4 8-balls, which is 87 ounces.
Weren't you going to take him to jail or anything?
See, we weren't going to arrest him that night. Like I told him, we're being decent. It's an investigation type. We could have, right then and there arrested him for it.
Dog with a Bone is hosted, investigated, produced, and written by Melissa Sandberg. Additional writing by Caitlin Sandberg. Edited by Jason Sandberg. Theme music by Alex Yukich. Dog with a Bone is a Sasquatch production.